Hello, dear viewer, and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland. We are currently an Arsenal podcast, and we're all quite happy about it. As you can see, we have a wonderful guest today. It's Rami Shaaban, the man who won 3 back-to-back Best Guests of the Year award, and is so good at it that we should name it the Rami Shaaban Guest of the Year award. But how are you, Rami?
I'm not bad. I'm fine. What an introduction.
At least I didn't call you Shammy.
Yeah, this time, yeah. That will come in this podcast.
It will. It probably will happen. And we've got the wonderful Kris. Look at you two. It's like a battle of wonderful hairstyles.
Rami's roots are far better than mine. I need a touch up, I think.
But I'm a bit more grey than you. So.
I don't know. I'm just hiding it.
Anyway, yeah, right. We've got Rami for half an hour. He's been kind enough to give us some time. It's a brilliant time to talk about goalkeepers because of the whole situation going on with Martinez and the Leno and the... I remember him as Gunnar the Gooner. That's it. Gunnar something from... I think he's Norwegian, isn't he? We bought him from France. We haven't done a podcast on him yet, have we, Kris?
From Iceland.
Yeah, you mean Runa?
Oh, he's Icelandic. That's it. We bought him from France. Yes. I knew it was something like that. See, that's why I've not done a show on him yet, because I'm not even sure what country it is from. Right. So, first of all, we're just going to, for the people that are new, that haven't seen Rami on any of the other pods, I think he's been on about 4 or 5 times. Just a quick summary. Rami joined Arsenal in the summer of 2002 when he was 27 years old. At the time, Arsenal had David Seaman at the club, who was 38 and was the number one. We also had Stuart Taylor at the club, who was 21. Graham Stack was 20. Craig Holloway was 18. So, Rami, when you signed for the club, were you told you were there to fight for the number one spot, or were you brought in as the number two? Was it a kind of Leno Martinez situation?
Yes, I would say that. I knew that I wasn't bought, obviously, to be number one. Obviously, David Seaman was unquestionable at that time, with all rights. I see myself a little bit like Alex Runarsson, the new Icelandic goalkeeper. I think I came in quite similar ways as he have done. Not much experience. Almost, I looked at Mikel Arteta's explanation, get the depth to the squad, exactly the same way the boss Arsene said when I came. I was a bit older. I think I was 2 years older than Alex Runarsson. So I went there to be ready if I got the chance. I would put it that way.
Talking about when you got the chance, I didn't realise that. So the notes I've put here, you made your debut in the Champions League game at Highbury in the 0-0 with PSV Eindhoven. The game before that, Seaman had been in goal, and I think he played. I can't remember who he played, but we won 1-0, so he kept a clean sheet. Then Wenger brought you in for the Champions League game. Do you know why he dropped Seaman and played you for that game?
I think he wanted to give me 90 minutes in the first team. If you remember, there was like 4 teams. It was 2 groups. First you play first group, and the 2 best goes to the second group. And we were already through. So this game against PSV didn't mean anything for us. But it meant a lot for PSV. So that's why he played me. So he said, even, I think it was 4 or 5 days before the game, he said, Rami, I will give you this game.
Yeah.
So you get into the squad. So I was very happy for that.
Yeah, the game that I forgot and that I missed out was David Seaman had played the game before that at home to Newcastle. We won 1-0, and he gave another goalkeeper a chance in the game before that in the League Cup. We lost 3-2 at home to Sunderland, and Stuart Taylor was in goal. So then you made your debut and kept a clean sheet against PSV Eindhoven. Then you made your league debut 4 days later in the North London derby as we beat Spurs 3-0, and you kept another clean sheet. And then Seaman came in for the next game away at Southampton, and we lost 3-2. And you must have been thinking, oh, he's brought Seaman back in. He's let 3 goals in after you've had 2 clean sheets. What was your thoughts back then?
My thought was just, I was over the moon just to have made my debut in the Champions League and the Premier League. And I knew even if I was playing really well, as soon as David was fit, he will play David. I think the same situation now with Leno and Runarsson. But then after that, David Seaman pulled his hamstring. So that's when I got my third game, Roma away in Champions League, I think.
Yeah, 1-3-1.
Yeah. So for the PSV game, David Seaman was fit. He could have played, but he wanted to see the other goalkeepers.
Good. All right. So, yeah, we won 3-1 away at Roma in the Champions League. The next game was at home against Aston Villa in the Premier League. And again, we won 3-1 and you were in goal. And then the next game, which turned out to be your last game, was on the 7th of December away at Man United. We were only 1-0 down at the time and you got injured in the 43rd minute and Stuart Taylor came on. What happened to you? I know you broke your leg, but who did it and how did it happen?
And I didn't break my leg at that game. I pulled my thigh. It was just a normal kick, and I felt something was wrong. And I remember it so well, even today. I got a perfect hit on the ball, and it just went to Ashley Cole. It was such a strange feeling. And I felt something went bad in my right thigh. So that's why I went off that game. I couldn't kick the ball anymore.
And so was that the last time that you played for Arsenal?
Say again?
Was that the last game that you played for Arsenal?
Yes. First team game. Then I played quite a lot of reserve games.
So how comes you'd done so well with the clean sheets and the North London derby? I was at all three of the home games that you played. I was at all three of them. And I remember being quite excited about that we had another Swedish person playing for us and that you played really well. And I was thinking, well, this looks like the bloke who's going to come in. Remember, in the 1998 season, Alex Manninger came in for David Seaman, didn't he, Kris, when Seaman got injured and Manninger was really, really good. But then things didn't work out for him. Do you remember when Rami came and deputised for Seaman in the that 2002-03 season?
Weirdly, I do, just because of the sort of the hipster element of it. I was always fascinated by players coming in that people didn't necessarily know. Oh, my cat's trying to jump down now. That's going to be interesting. Players from different countries that people didn't necessarily know a lot about. And I was always fascinated by the kind of the Swedish-Egyptian mix. I remember when we signed Rami, and I was like, oh, this is a guy I want to follow. And with the success of Manninger, who was Austrian, I thought, yeah, we're onto something good here. So I do remember it. And I also remember in that era, I think it's fair to say the shirts were a lot bigger than they are today. I remember seeing Rami, like even at your size frame, it always looked like the shirts were hanging off you. So yeah, it's a very different era going back that far. That grey outfit in particular, I remember that one.
The O2 shirts.
Yes, yeah, that's the one. Yeah, with the yellow piping. Yeah, I remember that one well.
I have a few of them at home.
Yeah, I bet.
So why do you think you didn't manage to get back into the first team if you'd shown such promise in the games that you did play?
When I came back, I remember after I pulled my thigh, it took maybe 3 weeks or something. I started training. It went really well, but still then I knew that as long as David Seaman is fit, the boss will play him. But then on Christmas Eve 2002, I broke my leg. I think we were going to play Middlesbrough in the Boxing Day. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was. The practice before that, I broke my fibula and tibula. And it was really hard, yeah.
How did you do that? I read it on Wikipedia that you broke your leg, but I forgot to write down when it happened. How did you do that? Because that's really bad to do both of those two. I broke my leg once, but it was only a fracture. But I mean,
yeah, my leg was 90 degrees. But it was the one who did it. He wrote it in his book, I think. So I haven't said it to so many, so I can do it today then. It started, we played a small game, quite tough, hard, as it always should be in training. And then Dennis Bergkamp was going to lob me, put it over my head. So I went backwards and I just tipped the ball on the underside of the crossbar. And then it started to bounce on the crossbar, obviously because I threw myself backwards. So I was on my back when it was bouncing in front of me. So then I thought I would kick it away with my right foot. And then my defender, Martin Keown, wanted to clear the ball as well, but he cleared my leg.
So you're laying on your back and the ball's coming back down. You decide to like scorpion kick it almost, and then Keown landed on you.
Actually, I was going backwards when Dennis Bergkamp was trying to shoot it over me. So I went backwards and I just got the fingertips on the ball. So I hit it on the underside of the crossbar. So then obviously because I throw myself backwards, so I was on my back. So the ball was bouncing in front of me. And then when I was going to kick it, Martin wanted to do the same thing. So I just heard a really loud crack. And I thought it was a chin pad or something that broke because I didn't feel any pain. And then I saw Martin limping a little bit. And then obviously all the players came around me and they said, just lay there. And I saw their pale faces when they saw my leg. So it was so dislocated.
Wow, Kris, that's have you ever seen anything like that in all your years of football and management?
Once, similar sort of scenario, but not with a goalkeeper, a defender, and it was the studs caught in the grass thing, and his leg went, or sort of knee went one way, and his leg went the other, and it reminded me a lot of the sort of David Boost injury back in the day. And it was, just remember it was just horrific. Weirdly, it's like Rami says though, with a leg break, you hear it, but you don't always feel it, sort of thing, with the pain. Whereas like an Achilles tendon, that one is instant pain, and like I've heard that go, and that's horrific. But a leg break, you sort of hear a noise, but it's more the kind of reaction afterwards where people sort of see what's happened, and then it's like, oh god. And you see a lot of professionals. I remember when Eduardo did his, sort of it's when the player looks down or sees the injury, that's when things sort of like really hit home what happens. So pretty horrific. And I imagine it's quite hard to come back from mentally. I've never done anything that bad myself, but I imagine that's quite hard.
Yeah, it was hard, and it was like my whole leg got numb. So it was a very strange feeling. But when you sleep on your arm, it's tickling feeling.
Yeah.
It was the same thing with my leg. The whole leg was feeling like that. And then obviously the ambulance came and stuff. But I was in positive mood. And I thought that it won't be that hard to get back. I heard so much about like if you tore your ACL or something, that's more difficult to get back. A leg heals by itself. But it was more complicated than I thought, to be honest. I didn't get any more games, but I tried. My goal was to be back to the pre-season 2003 when we start up in July.
Yeah, it must, as you say, it's so hard to sort of come back from that. Sorry, Danny, I cut you off then.
No, that's okay. I was just looking at the stats. The only things I can find is that your next game after that was you went on loan to West Ham and didn't play any games. Yeah. And then you went to Brighton in the Championship, and your next game was the 19th of February 2005, and you beat Sunderland 2-1. So you were nearly out for, 2.5 years? 2 years? 3 years?
No.
I can't count.
I played maybe 20 reserve games in 2003, 2004. And then I went, I got a contract offer from Saint-Etienne in France because obviously I spoke to the boss in March because my contract expired in June. And he said, Rami, I want to give you games, but obviously that season we went unbeatable. So I totally understand the boss. He said, listen, I can't change Jens Lehmann. Even when we won the Premier League, I think we had 4 or 5 games left of the season. He wanted to go the whole season unbeatable. I would have done the same thing as a manager. I wouldn't change the goalkeeper when we are so close to achieving that. But it was, of course, frustrating personally. But as a team player, I have to accept it. And then I went the whole season without playing almost 8 months. And then I went to Brighton for 3-4 months.
Oh, Kris, you don't know this, but Kris is an expert on French football. So do you remember Saint-Etienne back then, Kris? That would have been the 2004-05 season.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say expert, by the way.
You are.
I remember and obviously knew them well. I must admit, it had escaped my memory that Rami had gone there, in truth. But yeah, I think it's a well-trodden path now for Premier League players to go to France and back and the other way. So yeah, it made sense. Did you get many games over there, Rami? What was the experience like?
I got offered to go there. I went there on 1 week when they had their pre-season. We went to Biarritz.
Yep.
And I played a few friendly games there. I think they had a goalkeeper called Junot.
Yep.
A short guy, almost looking like Barthez.
Yep.
I think he played. He had a long career, I think. And I didn't know that much about Saint-Etienne before I went there for a week, but it's a massive club in France. They are like Platini's club.
Yeah.
He started his career there, and they have a very big fan base. I mean, it's a very big club in France, and a lot of fans and spectators when they play. Not today, but normally.
Yeah, huge history. I wanted to touch on like bringing it sort of into the time we're at now in terms of Arsenal. What did you make of the situation that came about in the end between Martinez and Leno, having been sort of an understudy keeper for some of your career? Did you sort of empathise, maybe sympathise with Emi Martinez when he got to that stage, because he came in and did such a good job, and ultimately it sounded a lot like almost what Arsene would have done with yourself with Mikel Arteta, where it's a case of we've got good money on the table, but more importantly the player needs to play, and Emi must have been at that point. Would if you were in Emi's shoes, would you have done the same thing? Would you sort of said to the boss, look, I've come in, I've proven myself, I'm 27, I've got ambitions, I need some guarantees that I'm going to stay in or I'm going to move on. Did you sort of think he made the right choice moving on there?
I think everybody did a right choice here. I sympathize with Martinez. I'm so happy he got his game, so his value and confidence. And now they won. He had a clean sheet with Villa last time.
Yeah.
So I think everyone benefits of it. I think obviously Leno cost the club a lot of money. He have more experience. I rate him higher than Martinez today. Even if Martinez, he had a very good spell. He have done everything right. But I think Martinez as well, going to a club, playing regularly, I think it's a win-win. Yeah,
absolutely. And you touched on Bernd Leno himself. Obviously, he's the undisputed number one at this stage. How do you sort of see goalkeeping having evolved sort of even from, because when I say your era, we're not talking like 30, 40 years ago. We are talking only, 10 years or less ago. The game has changed so much, and goalkeeping as a whole has changed. Are you on board with the sort of the new regime of goalkeeping in that all goalkeepers have to be good with their feet now? They have to almost start attacks. They've got to be able to be constantly on the move. You see, I think it was probably Neuer that first brought in the idea of almost the sweeper keeper being halfway in the opposition's half. Do you sort of see that as a positive change for goalkeeping, or are you a little bit more old-fashioned in terms of that you like your goalkeepers to stay at home and do their job, essentially, saving and being the last line of defence?
I think it's positive. Goalkeepers are way more fit today than before. They have to, even the outfield players, obviously. But as a goalkeeper, you like you explained it really well. You have to be like a sweeper. You have to be very good with your feet, even both feet today, not only one foot, even right, left, left, right. Read the game differently. And I see last 10 years, I think goalkeepers, if you look at the average height as well, is taller today than it was maybe 15, 20 years ago. I just said Janot, he was very short. He managed. I don't think short goalkeepers manage today at the same level. So it's more, how do you say, more narrow to be a good goalkeeper today. If you look at 100 goalkeepers, they are basically looking the same, all of them. Before you had a very big difference. You had some on the line, very explosive goalkeepers, standing right, reading the game. But today you have to have much more than that.
Yeah, agreed. And on that same line, what goalkeepers do you really rate highly? What goalkeepers do you look at and think, yeah, they're top level, or sort of keepers that you particularly stand out to you in the European game? Are there certain keepers that you look at now and you really rate?
I like Neuer. I know he had a tough time, but good goalkeepers, you see, they came back. Neuer have been brilliant when he came back, played after his injuries. Ter Stegen in Barcelona, I think, rate him very high. And if you look at them, they are very good with their feet. Not only that, you have to start the game. I mean, you start the counter-attack from the goalkeeper. It wasn't the same before. So, but Ter Stegen and Neuer, obviously, is my favorite.
Yeah, good shouts. And I know it's not necessarily Arsenal related, but we've had.
Oh, sorry, I have to mention Oblak as well in Atletico Madrid.
Oh yeah,
I think he has been so underestimated all these years.
Yeah, him and Handanovic are the other two that stand out to me. You're right. With pressure on a goalkeeper, like we saw even just last night, there was some criticism. I hold my hands up. I felt Leno could have done better for the first goal last night, personally. But a keeper that's come under a lot of fire is not necessarily Arsenal related, and that's Kepa Arrizabalaga at Chelsea. Do you feel, again, not necessarily knowing him personally, do you feel that the price tag is what's hindered his career at Chelsea? Because he's clearly got a lot of talent. He was very good in Bilbao, but at the same time, you can almost sort of see it watching on TV that the defenders don't seem to have that confidence in him. And I guess as a goalkeeper, confidence is so important because it affects whether you come for a ball, whether you stay, whether you receive the ball to feet, whether you don't. Do you feel like that? Do you feel like a keeper of that kind of pressure with their price tag? Do you think he can come back from that, or is that kind of where we're going to see the end of his high level career because of what's happened to him?
I think it's a very good question. Very difficult to answer with one word. Price tags comes on outfield players as well. De Gea had a very hard time in the beginning in United. He bounced back, but he didn't have the same competition as in Chelsea now. And United is a different club from Chelsea as well. I don't think he will play much more games in Chelsea, to be honest. I think for his sake, I think he should try to get a move somewhere. That's my opinion. Saying that, I remember he was once tried to get substituted and he didn't want to get off the pitch.
Yeah, in the League Cup final,
those things I don't like. When players decide if they are playing or not, I think that's up to the manager. So the person, I don't know him, but I don't like that kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree. And the last question I had, I know we've got a couple from our listenership or our other podcasters want to ask you, but my last question really personally is, what's life like as a number 2 goalkeeper when you're joining a club? And I'm talking sort of in your, not so much peak, but when you're the age of, say, Arsene, or potentially David Raya, who's been linked with Arsenal, when you're being signed to a high profile club such as Arsenal, and you know full well that the sort of the public line every goalkeeper will give is, and the manager will say they're coming here to be competition for the first team goalkeeper. Both keepers start on a level playing field, etc., and so on. But it's very, very rare that a second choice goalkeeper comes in and takes the gloves. And even in my experience, when a goalkeeper gets injured, in Martinez's case, for example, goalkeeper comes in, as soon as the first team keeper's fit, he seems to go back in. How does that feel for you as a goalkeeper? Like, how do you manage that situation, knowing that you're coming in as essentially a backup? Does that affect you mentally?
It depends on where you come from. I think Alex Runarsson, like me, I came from a big club in Sweden, but you can't compare it with clubs like Arsenal. I knew my role in the team. I knew that, as I said so many times here today, as soon as David Seaman is back, I know they will play David Seaman. But my goal was always, as soon as I get my chance, I will have to take it. So the games I got was very important for me. That's why I'm so happy with Martinez, for his sake, that he played really well, so he can go to another club. In my case, it was more like I knew David Seaman was, his age didn't speak for him. So I always had it back on my mind. If I do good games to prove the boss that I can, when David Seaman retires, I hope I get the chance to be the number 1 for the club. And that's not maybe the case with Runarsson, because Leno is not that old. So it's a bit different for him, but I'm 100% sure he's very happy to be at the club, and he knows his role at the club. And as soon as he gets the chances, he has to take them, not only to stay in the club, but maybe like Martinez, to go somewhere to get a good contract with another team, Premier League or wherever. So I can't address it more. I'm so happy for Martinez that imagine he didn't do any good games, he would have been finished.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it is generally good to see, like, sometimes it's nice when a player moves on and you can still kind of be happy for them rather than thinking, oh, why were they sold or whatnot. So yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. We just got a couple of quick questions to run by you because I know we're pressed for time. So I'll do a couple, and Danny, you can do a couple if you like, just to mix it up. Our first one came from Ellis, and he said, what was the opinion on VAR reviewing penalties, i.e. keeper watching if a keeper is a millimetre off his line? Would that change your training regime under the new rules of VAR? Would you be sort of changing how you played the game?
It wouldn't do anything changing the game for me. I have actually saved a penalty when I went like 30 centimeters in front of the goal line, and it was a big debate. That was in Norway, when I played in Norway. And that was like, if you look at sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. I think it's very hard for the referees as well to know where to put the line. So I went half a meter behind the line so I could take my step forward, because a goalkeeper always takes a step before he throw himself. Yeah. So that, in that case, it changed a little bit. But I think goalkeepers today think about that as well. But at my time, there was no VAR, so I still started from the goal line. So
yeah, your time was a lot better in that regard.
Yeah, not much better.
Nikki Wilson from our group also says, how does the second choice keeper know when it's time to move on with regards to Martinez? We've kind of addressed that, I guess, really, haven't we, in what you said there? Like, you know when your time is right, and Martinez seemed to leave at a good time. what was the other one we had? We had one about food, which I'm just trying to find here, from Rich, who's our man with Egyptian family. He said, ask him if he likes basturma and eggs, and he says it's an Egyptian thing.
Yeah, basturma or bid. Bid is eggs in Arabic.
Okay.
No. Bid is fine. Eggs are fine, but basturma la. No basturma.
There you go, Rich.
Yeah.
You've been told.
Yeah.
He also asked if you thought you were going to displace David Seaman. Again, we've kind of covered that, and he touched on the mentality side of things in terms of how you manage that. So we kind of covered that one. John also asked a question. He said, in terms of selling Emmy, do you feel it's a mistake? He seems to be more comfortable with his feet than Leno. I appreciate you wouldn't want to sort of go on record to say what's right or what's wrong, but do you feel like it's sort of a fine edge? Because you said yourself there earlier on, you feel that Leno is the better goalkeeper at the moment. Is that just an experience thing, or is it just a case of just the fact that you rate him a bit higher at the moment?
I'm always very, when it comes to rating goalkeepers, I can't rate them after 5-10 games or even half a season. Emmy Martinez is in a good way. He's very stable, but I rate, like I said, I rate Leno higher today because of his experience, because of his number of games. So to say, it's like, I think everyone, it's a win-win for everyone, this thing. It's always difficult, and I don't think you can have two similar goalkeepers on the same level competing, because I don't believe in that. I think Arsenal is doing really good by selling Martinez, getting some money for him, and taking in someone who obviously doesn't cost that much, and try to do something with him.
Yeah, 100% agree with you on that one. And the final question is from our Josh, and he says, can you ask Rami if he thinks Leno is still recovering from his knee injury? And he says he looked a little bit sluggish last night. Obviously, having somebody who's had such a big injury as yourself, how much does it affect goalkeepers coming back from injuries? Does it affect your sort of that capacity to change a game to reflect an injury? Because obviously the injury that Leno had was as a result. Okay, yeah, there was a lot to do with the challenge that he received, but it was very much an injury coming to claim a ball as he would week in, week out. So does that affect your judgment, do you think, coming back from injuries like that?
It's very individual. It depends. It's so many parameters that plays around, and how you are as a person, how you are mentally. In my case, when I came back from my injury, I thought the first 2-3 reserve games, I thought I played really well. But then when I look at the games in the video, I see, I should have done that. I should have done, the movement wasn't like before. But when you're on the pitch, it's very difficult to judge yourself to see how you are exactly. So that could be the case, but it's very difficult to answer that question.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you for that, Danny. Yeah, that's me. That's me all talked out. So I'm back to you.
That's when I know when to shut up, when Kris starts talking, because he asks all the best questions. Right. If anybody wants to find Rami on Twitter, it is SHAABANRAMI. He's often putting pictures of himself. The last one was him, and I think it was Sol Campbell, Freddie Ljungberg, Arsene Wenger. This is the kind of people that you hang out with that all know you because you're
every day.
Loyalty.
And good mates with Freddie Ljungberg. And also you played 16 times for Sweden, which we mustn't forget. And that's one of the reasons me and Kris both kind of have a soft spot for Sweden, and neither of us support England, although we're both English, because we just love everything about Sweden. What a wonderful country it is. So I think that you are nailed on. You got a bloody good chance of winning the Rami Shaaban Best Guest of the Season award yet again. It's so good we've named it after you. So you're the only person.
I'm so honoured.
The only person who's up for it at the moment. Hopefully you'll come back and join us again for another short show during the season, because trying to get you on for an hour and a half podcast, that's putting up with us for that long is way too much time for anybody. So thank you very much for joining us. You've been brilliant. Did you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, I said thanks for being on.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm very honored.
Oh, that's great. So are we, because you're brilliant. You always give us so much of your
it's really
time.
nice every time.
That's good. And cheers for asking all the decent questions, Kris, because I had no idea. I just blabber on about my cats or something.
Oh, no, it's all good. No, pleasure. Good to speak to you again, Rami. I really appreciate it. And yeah, do come
Likewise,
on again.
Kris.
Always fun to speak
nice
to
to see you this time.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Well, I don't know about that, but open to debate.
Excellent. Well, we are recording this on Tuesday night. The next show, you'll probably see this sometime during the weekend. So we'll see if all the stuff Rami said comes true, and we play Liverpool on Thursday and we're playing Sheffield United on Sunday. So thank you very much for watching. We have been a Bergkamp Wonderland. Goodbye.